Hey, welcome to this very important video lecture on blended fields. This is important because in most cases, the data that we want to visualize is not present in the form of a single table. It is there in multiple tables. For example, when a supermarket store is noting its sales transactions, it often saves the transactions with only the customer's unique identification ID, instead of storing each transaction with all of customer details. Customer details are stored in a separate table in which corresponding to each customer ID you have several fields containing customer details. This method of storing data in multiple data tables is much more efficient. Such a database takes up less space and responds faster also. So instead of repeating the customer information multiple times in the transaction table, for example, this is a transaction table. You can find this transaction table in the sales table.csv. In this transaction table, you can see that this particular user ID has done 4 different transactions. Instead of storing the same customer information 4 times, we have only mentioned the user ID here. So this is a separate table containing customer information. Here, against each user ID, we have customer gender, customer age, maybe we have customer name and other details also. So in this, for each ID, there is one record where we have information pertaining to that particular customer. But now, if I want to find out, let's say, the total sales made to males versus total sales made to females. It cannot be done using a single table. The sales table, this table, does not know whether it was a male or a female who purchased it. We do not have that information in any column. And the customer table does not know how much that particular customer purchased. So we need to join these two tables or blend the data to get this information. Let us see how to do that in Data Studio. To do this example, we need to import two files, salestable.csv and customertable.csv. Let's do that. Add data, file upload. You have to add these files one by one. You can add multiple files, but those multiple files are supposed to have the same column headers. Since customertable.csv and salestable.csv are two different datasets, so we cannot add them together. So we have added customertable.csv, click on add. Now let's add salestable.csv. Let's click on add again. Now once we have added these two sources, as always, we should go to manage added data sources and edit the data types of the fields. So user ID, although it is a number, but it is a code for identifying a particular user. You cannot use these numbers for mathematical addition subtraction. So I have suggested that this is a text. Age and gender are also text. Done. Now in salestable.csv, user ID is a text field. Purchase is a number that is correctly identified. Product category is also text field. So that's all. We click on done. The data sources are now ready. Now in this sheet, I have given the heading of blended fields. Now I want to have a bar chart showing the total sales made by males and females. So the first step is obviously to add a new chart. So I select a bar chart and I have placed it in the center of the sheet. Now in the data source, I have to select blend data. Now this is the screen on which we have to configure the blending options. So the first thing is selecting table 1. So from our data sources, we have to select the first table. I have selected sales table as the first table. From the sales table, we need the purchase value. The second table that we want to blend with the sales table is the customer table. So let's click on this join another table button and select customer table.csv as the data source. Now you can see that we have table 1 on the left, table 2 on the right, and in the center there is option to configure join. So first of all, let us see what we want from table 1. From table 1, we want the dimension user ID because that will help us match user ID from the customer table. The other main information that we want from sales table is the purchase value. So we'll pick this and drop it in matrix. From the customer table on the right, we want the gender because we are trying to create gender-wise split of the total sum of sales. So I'm picking up gender and dropping it in dimensions. So on the right, you can see that I have user IDs from the two tables because that is helping me match users from both the tables. Then I have gender and then I have purchase. Now the main thing to do is to configure this join. So click on this button. Now this gives us these 5 options: left outer, right outer, inner, full outer, and cross join. What these 5 joins mean will be covered in a separate video. So in the next video, I'll tell you what is the meaning of each of these joins. For now, I'm just selecting left outer join. The second thing is joining condition. Here we have to specify what is the column name which is common in both the tables. So in our CSV files, we had the same name, user ID, but it may not be always same. So since this was same in both the tables, Google Data Studio was able to identify that this is the common key to match the fields in both the tables. But in case they have different name, then you may have to manually select the common key and tell it to Google Data Studio that the join or the blending of data is to be done based on this key. So user ID of table 1 is to be matched with user ID of table 2 to create the blended data. Click on save. Now everything is set. You can click on save here to create your blended data source. So in the data source, you will see blended data written. Now you have to select the right dimensions which you want to plot on your graph. So user ID is not the dimension I want to plot. Gender is that dimension. There is no breakdown dimension. And the metric that I want to have is sum of purchase. And this gives me the required bar chart. It is showing that males have done nearly 45 millions of purchases and females have done nearly 12 or 13 million of purchase. The rest of the options of styling this bar graph or applying filters or sorting the data stays the same. This is how we blend the data from 2 or more tables. You have to select the 2 data sources, provide the common key, and select the type of join. What are the different types of joins? That I will explain in the next video. That's all in this video. Thank you.